Hi, welcome back to Not So Obvious Watches, and really welcome back after quite a long break. I got sent away with my work to Papua New Guinea for a couple of weeks, and whilst I was able to write some scripts and everything, I wasn't able to do any filming and clearly no uploading. So I want to get back into this fairly quickly, so I apologise. I'm a little bit stuffed up. I got in late last night. I apologise also for my voice. I'm probably a little bit scratchy, but they say in the business that consistency and putting out product regularly is key, so I'm going to do the best I can this morning. So what I want to talk about today is the concept of homage and what that's meant in the watch community as we've created this concept of the homage watch. And in particular, I want to talk about why I am not going to use, or I'm going to try very hard never to use the words homage or homage ever again in connection with a watch. Before we go on, I want you to picture the scene. A minor medieval landowner has been called before the king to demonstrate his loyalty and respect and to show that he will support his king, lord and master. And this minor landowner decides to show his respect, to display his loyalty by dressing exactly like the king, but just a bit shittier. How do you think that's going to go for that landowner? Do you think that the king will feel that he's being properly respected, or do you think that the king will feel that he's being mocked and that landowner has a very short and abrupt future in front of him? That landowner's in trouble because he didn't show respect. He didn't properly give homage to his lord and master, because that's what homage is. It's respectful. Half-assed copying, lazy retreading of generic designs is not showing respect either to yourself or to the source of your inspiration. So labeling those sorts of actions as homage is unhelpful. And yet that's what homage has come to mean in the watch community. A $50 Invicta Pro Diver is said to be a homage to a Rolex Submariner. Now, did you notice a little trick over the language I used there? I said homage to, not a homage of. And that's because normally in English, homage is used as a noun. It is something that you give. It's a thing. So I give homage. I pay homage to. It's not actually defined as an adjective. So to describe something as a homage watch is actually changing the use of that quite significantly. And it's in that change of use that this change of meaning has come about. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be some word pedant here. I completely understand that words change meanings and that words morph over time, and within certain communities words have specific uses, so I'm not against that at all. But what's really interesting is that with the change of homage from being a noun to an adjective in the watch community, it's actually been weaponized. Something now becomes a mere homage, which, if you go back to the actual meaning of the word homage, makes no sense, because that would say that it's merely paying respect to its predecessor, and there is actually nothing wrong with that. In truth, every Rolex Submariner since 1960 has been a homage to the original. Every Rolex Submariner now, the whole strength of the Rolex brand is based upon the fact that every successive version of the Submariner, of the GMT Master, of everything, is in fact paying respect to the watch from which it was derived. That is the true definition of homage, and Rolex have captured it. Now, of course, in this new world where we've weaponized the word homage, we cannot say that. We cannot say that the new, the latest reference of a Rolex is a homage to a previous version, because, as I said, we've weaponized that word, and there's no way we're going to accuse Rolex of being a mere homage to anything, even itself. An example of this kind of weaponization of the concept of homage really came about and really hit me between the eyes a couple of probably about 2 months ago. Jory over at the Time Teller got offered a couple of Christopher Ward watches to review. He was very positive about it. There was a lot of comments in his on the channel about what he felt of the GMT version. I think it was the C65 GMT, and he's also made some comments about the latest Grand Seiko GMT, and he's been very uncomfortable with the idea that there's elements which seem quite similar to the Rolex and which could be taken to be a homage. And he kind of said, as a result, I'm putting a line through that watch. I can't buy that watch. That's terrible. That's a really bad response, to say that the GMT marker or the bezel looks a little bit like, could be taken as a homage, therefore I cannot buy that watch, is a terrible outcome. Now, I don't blame Jory for that. He's simply reflective of the community and our response to how this works. But it sort of fueled my concern over how we've totally lost perspective here and made homage a weapon with which we beat a watch to death and perhaps make it unavailable to ourselves. There's actually a second and even worse result of this weaponization of the word homage, and that is that it actually gives copies, imitations, replicas, and lazy generic designs a get out of jail free card. Because instead of calling them what they are, a copy, a replica, or instead of describing the design process as it is, lazy, repetitive, aping, imitative, we give it, we elevate it we soften it by giving it the name a homage, which sounds somehow more elegant, which sounds less awful. Now, I can't change this. I am almost a lone voice. Every now and then in a forum, when I mention something like this, I'll get someone pipe up and go, yeah, I've always felt uncomfortable about this. And a couple of years ago, when I was doing the research for this piece and thinking about trying to get my thoughts in order, I noticed that Worn and Wound, one of their writers, wrote a very similar piece, which I'll put in the show notes so you can find that. And he raises the same sorts of issues. But anyway, by and large, I'm a lone voice. I'm not going to change everything. I can't change the way an entire community has changed the meaning of the word homage, but that doesn't mean I have to buy into it. That doesn't mean I have to continue that what I think is an unhealthy and unhelpful trend. So I'm not going to use the word homage anymore, or I'll try desperately not to. I might say that a watch was inspired by, has some inspiration, uses some tropes that are common to the genre. Those things are all true, but and that happens every time. I might actually just use the meaning of homage in what I say, which I'll say, this watch shows respect to watches that it's come from, but I won't say the word homage. Likewise, I won't call watches such as a Steinhardt a homage, because they're not. I'll call them what they are: copies, replicas, reusers of generic design shapes. That's what they are. They are not in any way, shape or form paying respect to the watches that they're deriving their ideas from. They're simply aping them and making them available at a cheaper price. So that's it. That's my short and sharp little rant done today. I'm not sure how short and sharp it'll be. The editing will tell me how it is, but I don't think it was that long. I'm interested in your thoughts. Do you think I'm being stupid? Do you think that we should accept that homage means something different? If you do, what I'd be really interested in is, what do you call, in your mind, what do you call it when Rolex shows respect to what it has done before? What do you call it when Breitling shows respect by what's come before when it does a reissue? What do we call it when Omega shows respect to the original Speedmasters by keeping a certain design language? How do we separate the act of one designer that is showing respect to a design that's come before and reusing themes from the actions of another designer doing precisely the same thing who just happens to come from a different brand. I'd be very interested in your thoughts on that. Anyway, so that's it. I've been Pete McConville. This has been Not So Obvious Watches. This has been a very quick and scratchy video. If you want more content like this, please subscribe or just look around my channel and you'll see a lot of other homilies, rants and random thoughts from me. Thanks very much. Bye.